All right, let's dive into a real battle of titans happening right now in the world of Indian cement. You've got Ambuja Cements on one side and UltraTech on the other. Now, they're both growing like crazy, but they're playing two totally different games. So let's break it all down.
And look, this isn't just some boring corporate rivalry. We're talking about a genuine clash for dominance in one of the planet's most critical and fastest-growing markets. The stakes, they really couldn't be any higher.
Which brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Which strategy is actually going to win? Is it the super efficient, highly profitable cost master, or is it the massive, market-dominating scale king? Let's find out. But first, to really get what's at stake here, you have to appreciate the arena these guys are fighting in. We are not talking about some small, niche industry.
No, this is a battle for the top spot in the world's second-largest cement market. India, a country where the demand for cement just keeps on climbing, year after year after year.
So, let's meet our first contender, Ambuja Cements. Now, since becoming part of the Adani Group, this company has honed its strategy to focus on one thing above everything else, just extreme operational efficiency and, you guessed it, profitability. And the results? Well, they kind of speak for themselves, don't they? In Q2 of fiscal year 26, Ambuja posted a staggering 21% year-on-year growth in revenue. How? By selling more cement at better prices. Simple as that. But here's where their whole strategy really comes to life. Just look at their EBITDA per ton. Now, EBITDA is basically a measure of operating profit, and at over 1,600 rupees per ton, Ambuja's is just incredibly high. This is pure hardcore cost control. This is the cost master DNA in action. Now, don't you mistake all this efficiency for a lack of ambition. Not at all. They have an absolutely massive expansion plan to more than double their capacity from 77 to a whopping 155 million tons per annum by fiscal year 28. So how in the world are they doing it? Well, it's a one-two punch of just rigorous cost control combined with these powerful synergies they're getting from being part of the bigger Adani Group. They are running a very, very tight ship. Okay, so now for the other side of the ring. Here we have the undisputed champion of size, UltraTech Cement. And their strategy? It's completely different. It is all about massive, massive scale and absolute market leadership. And believe me, they are right there in the fight. They've got an equally impressive 20% year-on-year revenue growth. This just shows you how neck and neck this competition really is, at least on the top line. But, and this is a big but, here's where the strategic difference just becomes crystal clear. Take a look at their EBITDA per ton. At 966 rupees, it is way lower than Ambuja's. They are just not chasing the same profitability per ton game. So why is that? It's because their game is scale. They're planning to expand their already enormous capacity from 166 to an unbelievable 200 million tons per annum. And they want to do it fast, by fiscal year 26. The goal is to be unbeatably big. For them, the philosophy is simple, a relentless focus on scale. They're essentially building a giant moat of production capacity to lock down their position as India's #1 player, period. Okay, so we've seen the two very different strategies. Now, let's put them side by side and look at the hard numbers. It's time for our tale of the tape. All right, let's walk through this. Revenue growth, it's a virtual tie. But then, bam, look at operating margin and EBITDA per ton. That is Ambuja's efficiency just screaming at you from the page. Now look down at the bottom. Ambuja has almost zero debt. And then there's the PE ratio, which kind of tells you how the market values them. Right now, investors are paying twice as much for every dollar of UltraTech's earnings. This is where the story gets really juicy. And here you can just see that difference in their financial DNA. I mean, Ambuja is running incredibly lean, almost no debt. UltraTech, on the other hand, to fund that crazy expansion carries a lot more. It's a classic risk-reward trade-off playing out right in front of us. At the end of the day, it all boils down to two very different ways to win. Ambuja is using a light balance sheet to focus on high margins and efficiency. UltraTech is using debt to go after aggressive scale and market dominance. And this really brings us to the final takeaway. When you look at these two giants, you're not just picking a company, you're picking a philosophy. You know, the core dilemma here is a classic business school case study playing out in real time. Is it better to master cost control and be super efficient, or is it better to achieve undeniable market scale, even if that means lower margins and taking on more debt? So, as we wrap this up, the big question is really for you. In this ongoing war for the Indian cement market, which strategy do you think is going to win in the long run? Who do you back? The super profitable cost master or the absolutely dominant scale king?